Okay, I'm talking about Team Envious in their recent win at DreamHack Atlanta. But I want to say a few quick things. First up, I'm probably not going to edit this for at least like the next week or two. I'm very, very sorry if I do this, or that is what happened, just because this tournament just happened like 2 or 3 days ago, and I probably won't edit it for like the next anywhere from the next like 2 to 3 weeks to like a year. So I'm really sorry about that. But besides that, if this video, if anyone watches this video and likes it and would like me to do more of these, then I feel free to do it. Just cause I like I love talking about esports, not just cause I play video games, but just cause I really love talking about anything that I feel like I am knowledgeable on, and I feel like I am very knowledgeable on esports just cause like I've been watching CS for the last 2 or 3 years. Smite, I've been watching it for the last 2 or 3 years and playing it. Call of Duty, I've been watching that since like BO2. I've been playing it since BO1. I played a little bit of Overwatch and I've watched a little bit of Overwatch. I know a little bit about Halo, but on top of that, if this were to like start to become a thing, then like I would start to get requests. It would kind of make me have to watch other esports, which would really help me just because I really want to get into League of Legends and Dota. The problem with it is it never really crosses my mind whenever I'm like trying to think of something to watch. It never really crosses my mind that those are actually two games. Like I kind of just forget that those are two games. Like no disrespect to it, but like I kind of just completely forget that those are two games that I can watch. And last but not least, if I do somehow upload this at a point in time where the PGL major is still relevant, I'm not gonna say a single thing about it because I'm gonna be honest. I've watched a round and a half, just a round and a half of an SK match. And for anyone who plays CS:GO and knows what I mean by rounds, you already know that equates to like 2 seconds worth of watching time for an literally an 8-day event. So a week plus event, because I'm pretty sure it was an 8-day event. And I mean, I like really all I can tell you is the final was quite interesting. Just cause I mean, at the end of the day, we had two underdog teams, both make the finals. Simple as that. Gambit versus Immortal. See, this is what I really hate. Gambit versus Immortal or Immortals. And I mean, if we were expecting any Brazilian team, we're definitely picking SK because right now they're probably like the best team, second best team in the world. But let's actually get to the topic at hand. It is Team envyus in their recent win at DreamHack Atlanta. Now, when I actually watched this and heard about it, I didn't really have I wasn't really too excited at first, but then I started to get more excited just because the reasoning why I wasn't excited at first was, yeah, we won. If you don't know my team in, but yeah, they won the championship. They played well, but this has been happening ever since they formed at the beginning of the year. Like we had Kenny, Apex, and NBK all stripped away from us, and we put together they put together this roster, and they seem to be good at times, and they play well at times, but then like 2 seconds later, they just get stomped by some random team that we never heard about before. Like it's kind of hard to really put all your faith in. Like yeah, I could be like, yes, we are finally putting everything together, and we're finally becoming a good team. But I'm not gonna say that just because I know probably next week we're gonna get stomped by some random like Ukrainian team or something. No offense to Ukrainian teams, but like we're gonna get stomped by some random team that we never heard about before. And yeah, I wasn't really too excited. But then I kind of thought about it, and I said to myself, this could actually be the time for Envy to finally make good on their potential. Because we all know that Team Envy can be a top 10 team in the world. It's just, can they all put it together? And like, I've heard some people try to debate this, and this is what my debate would be on why they can be a top 10 team in the world. First up, let's look at Happy. I mean, that, like, anyone who's been watching CS for a while, you already know, okay? Happy is a legendary in-game leader. He's won 2 majors, DreamHack Winter and DreamHack Kaluge and Apaka. But on top of that, he's gone head-to-head with Fnatic, aka God Squad, aka Bulldozer, aka we see, we conquer. That's literally what Fnatic is. They would have won 4 straight majors if it wasn't for Envy. I mean, LDLC, which Happy was the in-game leader of. And I hear a lot of people actually deny this, and this is why. You know, this is why I say it. First up, let's think about it. If Fnatic had won 3 majors, one before the LDLC major win, and 2 after, they would have won DreamHack Winter. That would have been 4 straight majors in a row. Probably. Really just depending. Maybe LDLC don't stay together and then some other team rises up and then beats Fnatic. But just going on with the current rosters, Fnatic would have won 4 straight majors. Simple as that. But guess what? They didn't. You wanna know why? Because a legendary in-game leader known as Happy led his team against them, beat them, won the major, and then would later on go to a new organization known as Team Envyus, of course, along with the same roster. And then there would be a big trade for Kenny and Apex. They would both come onto the roster, and they would eventually win DreamHack, Kaluge, and Apaka. Of course, after losing a couple months previous at ESO1 Cologne, another CSGO major. Kind of heartbreaking, you know. Kenny didn't really play all that well, and a lot of people say if he would have played better, they wouldn't have won, but that's not really important. But we've seen Happy. We know what he can do. He's a very good secondary umper at his peak. He's a great in-game leader at his peak. And he's been the leader of 2 of the best French lineups as of late. Arguably better than G2 just because G2 have won ESL Pro League Season 5. But you gotta think about this. LDLC and Envy both won majors. Envy beat TSM later on. LDLC they went head to head with Fnatic the whole entire time. In which it's just, you know, that's the only point I can really make on that. But next up we have Screen, Headshot Machine. Simple as that. Headshot Machine. He probably has hacks in his arm. I don't know, you know. Okay, of course that's a joke, but he's a very, very good player. He's one of the best players in the world, at least according to HOTV. He ranked top 8. Yeah, he ranked number 8. At least that's what I remember. He ranked number 8, and he's a very, very good player. He's a one-top machine, and he's one of the best aimers in the world, if not the best aimer in the world. We have RPK, one of the most legendary CS players. He was a top 2 player in 1.6. It just really all depends. A lot of people say he was number 1. A lot of people say he was number 2. But either way you look at it, he was a top dog. He was one of the top dogs, and he was one of the best players in the world. Literally number 1 or number 2. So he's a legendary player. Sixer. I honestly think Sixer is a underrated umper. A very underrated umper. And if I were to make a comparison, I know a lot of people are gonna say I'm crazy before this, but I think Sixer is like a budget French version of the Vice. Because you know how the Vice plays? He's not a flashy jumper like a Kenny S, a Guardian, or a Fallen. But he is one of the best jumpers in the world. And this is why. He picks an angle, he holds it, he gets the kill, he holds the line, he calls for his teammates to make the rotate. That sounds so weird to me. To make the rotate. Simple as that. He just picks up a kill, holds the line. Picks up a kill, holds the line. That's exactly what he does. And I feel that Sixer also does that. Especially just cause he plays angles, at least in my opinion, very, very well. I feel like he's a very underrated umper. And I mean, so like I know for a fact MBK said that he was a good umper. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other French players said that he was just a good umper. And I agree with them. Like, I think he's a good umper too. And I think if everything had panned out for him, he could honestly become a top 10 umper in the world. Yeah, like, I would be willing to bet on that, but I'm kind of broke right now because I keep on buying shoes all the time, stuff like that. But last but not least, we have XMS, or should I say, Junior Scream, Scream's son, Scream's brother, somehow related to Scream some way. I don't know how, but he is. XMS, when he first joined Envy, I was kind of like, man, this is so dumb. You know, we got some random kid I never heard about. And, like, he kind of just made me, like, swallow every single word that I said about him, because he's a very good player. He can be very explosive at times. And he actually has really good aim. Like, he has some insane deagle plays at times. He has some insane one-taps, which is why I said Junior Scream, Scream's son, Scream's brother, whatever. It's because he honestly plays like he screams sometimes. And he's just a very, very talented player, in my opinion. And he is a French star for the future. I'm trying to think of like the older French players. Really, the only people I can really think of is like RPK and Happy, and also Sixer. Sixer's on the more older side. He's like 25, 26 or something like that. But yeah, this is a very talented squad, and they've shown that they can compete. Like literally, after the French Shuffle, they straight up played G2 like a couple days later, and it beat G2 2-0. I believe it was 2-0 in ESL Pro League. I know they picked up at least one game. You know, I'm just going to say 2, just because I'm pretty sure that they won both matches in the ESL Pro League against them when they played, and that's all I really have to say about it. But actually, you know, the ESL Pro League is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Is they got off to a good start just because they beat G2, and after that, they went really flat. Like they weren't doing anything against. Like I'm not even just the big teams are a problem. Just small teams are a problem. Like Hellraisers, Flipside, stuff like that. Like they're just a problem, man. And it was a struggle. And then they barely ended up qualifying for ESL Pro League Season 5 at the end. Which, honestly, if I am remembering it correctly, someone had to lose for Envy to qualify. Just being honest, but we've seen this multiple times before. And here's where I really get all my hope at, is what has happened recently. Now, I don't quite understand this, but at DreamHack Valencia, I heard a lot of people saying that they were actually doing good at DreamHack Valencia, or at least doing decent. Like, they weren't doing bad, but they weren't doing like, oh my god, they're an amazing team. And then after they got eliminated, like everyone just says they didn't really have too good of a DreamHack Valencia. Like everyone was just saying that they were having a nice little DreamHack Valencia up until that point. Like after they got eliminated, like yeah, they didn't have a good DreamHack Valencia. They were kind of just trash. You know, they try to just go and drink bleach because they're all just trash. It's like, but you literally just said that they all just had a good DreamHack Valencia. Okay, you know what? Whatever you say, bud. But of course, as I'm counting it, I say it wasn't a good DreamHack Valencia, but it wasn't a bad either. It was an average DreamHack Valencia. Then they go on to qualify for DreamHack Malmo, which is a pretty big event. Like some of the best teams in the world are going to be there, and if Team Envy can do good there, then I will most definitely say that they have finally put it all together. But they qualify for DreamHack Malmo, and this is where I really get my hope from, because with them qualifying for DreamHack Malmo, this would be the classical time for them to jump off of the cliff that they just keep on jumping off of. Like, literally, this is what Envy is right now. They jump off the cliff, they climb back up, they jump off, they climb back up, they jump off, they climb back up, they jump off, and they just keep on doing that every single time over and over and over. And this is the perfect time for that to happen. But instead, they, instead they decide to take a step back away from the edge of the cliff and win DreamHack Atlanta. Well, they look just really good. Like in the games versus Heroic, they seem like a very in sync team. Like they had good reads, good rotations, and like for instance, I cannot tell you how many times I have watched Team Envy play. Like 2 or 3 players just all get gunned down on a buy round, and there are 0 trades. Like that's literally what happens every single time. But that's not what happened on this. But another thing that just really drives me to have hope for them is what we expected out of this Heroic and MV final was we expected, because like the maps were Overpass, Cobble, and Inferno. We expected Heroic to just stomp Envy on Overpass, and that's not what happened at all. Like Envy were actually quite competitive in that map. Of course they lost, but they were quite competitive in that one. But on top of it, Cobble, while it did kind of even out a little bit, we could still say that that Heroic didn't really play as well as expected. And then Inferno, like, all I gotta say is just 16-2. Like, as simple as that. 16-2. Envy honestly, like, Envy should be going to jail right now because they committed murder against Immortals. Like, and the funny thing about that matchup was we expected Overpass to just be a landslide for Heroic, and then the other two maps were gonna be competitive, and they're gonna be really a toss up. And what happened was Overpass was a struggle for Heroic, and the other two teams, Envy just kind of were dominant. I mean, Cobble was still somewhat competitive, but we could all tell it was in Envy's favor. And Inferno, like I just said, it was 16-2. Like literally, and I remember seeing the pistol round just because right before watching the final matchup, I saw a screen with a trophy on Instagram, and like I saw the first kill, and right there, I already knew that the match was over. Like I saw the first headshot in the second pistol round, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is where they win the championship right here. You know what happens? There's one kill traded. Like, there's one kill picked up on Heroic. Then 3 other players go down. Like, instantly. Like, just right after. One after another. there's 3 players all go down heroic, and I'm kind of just like, yeah. Like I don't want to doubt you guys at heroic, but this game's over. It's simple as that. And then they pick up one more kill on Envy, and then there's just another headshot shut down. And it's kind of like, yeah, we already knew that this was gonna happen. And just they played very, very convincing to me. And any other time I would kind of be like, where do they jump off the cliff? But it's hard for me to say that just because with them qualifying for DreamHack Malmo, this is the perfect time for them to jump off the cliff. But again, they take that step back and win DreamHack Atlanta. And yeah, this is pretty much the end of the video. Really quick, I just want to say, I know this is not the best video. Like, I know that I kind of rambled on a little bit and I was kind of stuttering a bit, but first up I want to say I'm very, very sorry, but next time I will be well more prepared just because I've been trying to do this video for a bit, and I don't know whether it's just a slack. I don't know whether it's just a slack of sleep. It sounds so weird when you go all the way, like when you say the sentence completely. I don't know whether it's just a I keep on trying to say lack of sleep or something, just because my sleeping schedule has been really messed up lately. But yeah, I am definitely gonna do another 1 or 2 of these, just because again I want to talk about Sixer in particular, and I want to talk about Happy in particular. So maybe by then I can improve a little bit, which if I see improvement by then I'll definitely just keep on doing these. But yeah, pretty much that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope anyone who's an envyus fan kind of agrees with me and says, kind of just agrees that this is looking upwards for our boys in blue. That Envy are kind of looking convincing finally after like what 5 or 6 months. Yeah, DreamHack Malmo will be a very, very big tournament for them, at least in my opinion, just because not even if they don't win, it doesn't really matter to me. But I mean, if they place well, and like if they do okay, and like pretty much if they place well at DreamHack Malmo, then I'm gonna flat out say that Team envyus I finally have gotten it together, and we could see them honestly be contenders in a little bit. But yeah, that's been it for this video.